Cheatle definitively able to dismiss erroneous information and speculation. However, you are refusing to answer questions that we now know that you have the information for. You are saying that you are wanting to answer questions that the Secret Service has information to. Well, ma'am, you are the Secret Service. You are the director. You have said that you are the best for the job. So I'm going to ask you some questions now knowing that you do have answers from the FBI, whom you have been passing the buck to this entire day. And I'll start with something that, you know, maybe the FBI doesn't know because it has to do with you personally. You said you spoke with President Trump after the assassination attempt. And I want to know, did you apologize to him directly for nearly having President Trump killed?
Yes, I did.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that you recognize that this was your failure. Now, since the assassination attempt, you are under oath, reminding you, have you communicated with anyone at the White House on an encrypted messaging app like Signal? Yes or no?
No, I have not.
Are you willing to surrender your personal phone for analysis?
If I am required to do so.
No.
Okay. I will look into making that request because I would like to see your personal phone to see if you're communicating over encrypted messaging apps. Have you ever turned down enhanced security requests from Donald Trump's detail, his special agent in charge, Sean Curran? Have you ever turned that down?
No, I have not.
Ooh. So obviously there's whistleblowers.
Has your team, has the Secret Service?
And Anthony, you still there? If you are, pause that. We can talk to this. And I think I mentioned this to you guys last week, where you notice how she said that. What was her answer? She said, no, I have not. The requests for additional resources, they're not going to her, right? They're going to someone at headquarters that's probably like, that she is probably the second line supervisor to. So there's probably, like, she's the director, there's a deputy director, and then there's probably like an operational officer that's looking at these requests coming in, and he or she is probably the one what's that? Yeah, I mean, not really personnel, but just all operational stuff. And that's the person that's probably turning them down. So she's not lying if she says, I didn't. But if she, you know, the question again should have been, were any requests denied? The answer would have been, yes, they were at some point.
Maybe not you personally.
I believe, as I mentioned earlier, there are times when requests are made for
and you
assets,
have denied them. They have been denied.
And a denial doesn't
Has the Trump campaign made requests for additional assets that have been denied?
Denial doesn't mean vulnerability.
Have there been additional requests for enhanced security at Mar-a-Lago?
But the answer is obviously yes.
We have made a number of enhancements to.
You confirmed that there were bomb-sniffing dogs that were provided. You failed to confirm if there were aerial security surveillance assets that were provided. So yes or no, was that provided?
At the rally?
At the rally, yes, ma'am.
We had Overwatch provided at the rally.
You've confirmed that the assassin was identified as suspicious 57 minutes
That's not the
prior
question.
to the shooting. Was the suspicious individual ever approached by an agent? Was any contact ever made with him?
No, and that's a failure.
Not to my knowledge.
Is that the standard protocol for
no.
someone who is identified as suspicious?
The protocol would be to locate the individual and
you said that he was located 2 to 5 times approximately?
No, I said that the information was passed potentially somewhere between 2 to 5
And he was
times.
never located by an agent?
To my knowledge, that individual was not located by an agent.
We have dozens of rally goers who have identified him and not one agent on the ground. There are many, many, many agents on the ground, local law enforcement, Secret Service. No one was able to identify him and have sights on and see him.
What I'm saying is that the agents that were on the ground.
Well, obviously someone took
time,
pictures of him, so
I
obviously
have no knowledge that they were able
identified
to interview him or locate him.
Thank you. Was there a local law enforcement officer who approached the roof and saw the shooter and saw that he was present on the roof?
That is the information that has been shared with me.
Have you spoke to that local law enforcement officer?
No, I have not.
Are you going to?
It is part of a criminal investigation that the FBI is interviewing those individuals.
Were agents stationed on the water tower?
No,
Why?
that would not be something that would be included in a security plan.
Has the man who is reported to have been present wearing a gray suit who allegedly requested a photo of the dead body of the assassin on top of the AGR roof
So
been
this was the
identified?
guy that we spoke to Pete about
I don't
earlier.
have that information.
Pause this a second, Anthony, and I probably shouldn't have talked over it this much. So one of the contentious points was there was a guy that showed up on the roof in a gray suit that, you know, supposedly was ATF, but obviously you heard Pete say earlier, no, he's not ATF, and then there was some question if he was Secret Service. No one's really been able to identify who he is, and this is kind of fueling some of the conspiracy theories out there right now. Notice I wore my CIA shirt for that purpose today. So let's see where she's going with this. This may be, I doubt we're going to get any answers, but this may be one of the more interesting things. You would hope she would at least identify if that's a Secret Service person in the gray suit.
Is that something that you've heard of?
No,
Were ATF agents present at the rally
to attend or to work,
to work?
not to my knowledge.
How long did the counter sniper have crooks in his sights before the shooter opened fire on President Trump?
I don't have that specific timeline.
Will you be able to tell us if he communicated with other agents on what he was seeing through his sights?
Once I have that information, absolutely.
Because we need to know why he waited for multiple rounds to be fired at President Trump before the threat was neutralized. We need to know if he was given an order to hold fire. Now, it's you've excused the roof of being unmanned because of the slope of the roof. Do you continue to assert the slope of the roof as a credible reason for leaving this position undefended?
First, I'll go back and correct that there was no order to hold fire. Our agents and officers have the ability to neutralize a threat at the time
So you
that
don't
they
know,
see it.
I'm sorry, you don't know the communication that was taking place or how long he had him in his sights because you haven't spoke to him, but you do know that there was no order to hold fire.
I can tell you the way that our personnel are trained. They are trained on the use of force scale, that when they see a threat, they are authorized to neutralize that threat. They don't have to ask for permission.
You excuse the roof being unmanned because of the slope. Do you stand by that assertion?
The roof was not covered with an individual on it because there was overwatch provided.
Apparently not. No, there was no overwatch provided. This is very evident. President Trump was shot. A man died. There was no oversight
point. You
provided.
can't argue with
I
that.
find this rather maddening, especially now knowing that you do have answers.
Anthony, can you pause it here? I just want to go back to this guy in the gray suit. I'm going to read from the report. This is from the preliminary findings that this committee has put out. So this is a big point they make is following the shooting, Secret Service was seen on the roof of the AGR building with local law enforcement. Photo of the shooter was sent to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms for facial recognition. I don't think that's actually the case. I think probably photos of the firearm, the serial number on the firearm were probably sent to ATF. That's probably the photos that were sent, and that's how they did the trace. And maybe they sent a photo of the shooter as well, but they do the trace, they find out who the gun belongs to, and they look at other people in that family, and boom, they have the guy identified. But what's interesting is, let's see, between 6:40 and 6:50 p.m., local law enforcement on the roof were joined by Allegheny County Bomb Squad and one individual wearing a suit who local law enforcement assumed to be a Secret Service agent. According to information reported to Senator Johnson's office, that's where they got that information. According to individuals on the roof, a member of the Allegheny Bomb Squad requested the photos be sent to phone number, blah, 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 which was stated to be for the ATF. The ATF was apparently requesting the photos for facial recognition purposes. I think that's probably kind of a little overstep in terminology. They're probably requesting the photos in an effort to help identify the person. I don't know that they would use facial recognition technology to do that. Maybe they would. Yeah, there's just some, there's some amount of speculation about this gentleman on the roof in the gray suit. I thought I had a picture and I can't find it here, but it's been circulating on social media today. So go ahead, Anthony. Let it rip. We'll wrap this thing up
from
here.
the FBI, who you have been passing the buck to this entire hearing, not answering a congressional hearing, members of Congress, while you are under oath and under a subpoena. I find it maddening that the director, that our country has come centimeters away from oblivion under your watch. You have answers. You are refusing to give those to us, directing us to the FBI. And this entire thing is a waste of time. You are responsible for the loss of a life and the shooting that took place on President Trump. You do need to resign. This is bipartisan. You need to be fired. You do not need to hold this position. You are not the best for this job. I am over my time, but I cannot tolerate your watch any longer, and I'm going to continue to call daily for you to be removed from your position, ma'am.
Chair recognizes Mr. Fry.